Okay, let's figure out who we're doing next. Taurus. We haven't done Taurus yet. Okay. Okay, Taurus, it's your turn. Please check the description box for everything that you need to know, including how to look up your natal chart. There's a super comprehensive and free place that you can do so. We're going to use this Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg for you. You do need to know the time that you were born in order to discern your rising sign, because it changes every 2 hours on the date of your birth. We're going to do the Rebel Oracle at the end for some no bullshit advice. Guess I probably shouldn't have sworn in the first minute of my video. Way to go, Ash. But we're going to do Celtic Cross for you today. We're going to clarify with the Sun Moon Tarot. But we're going to start out with the magnetic poetry. So please grab a pen and a piece of paper so that you can figure out what your messages are. Yeah. This is general reading. So let's go ahead and let's get started for you. There's the magnetic board. Let's go ahead and let's see. Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What are the messages for you from the magnetic poetry? It's a gigantic box of magnetic poetry. So much I can't even put it all on my door, my fridge. Let's see. Okay. Okay. There you go. Jot that stuff down. I'll hold this stuff up here for about 5 more seconds, so you should probably pause. Hope you can see everything. Okay. Cool. All right. That's that. I'll leave it up here just for another second for you. All right, great. So Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg for you. The Celtic Cross will shuffle a couple more times. 2 more times, I just heard. 2 more times, so once more. And then we will get started with your Celtic Cross spread. I should probably go through all my books and figure out if I want to do a different spread or if I want to make one. Yeah. So current situation for you. I only take flippers and jumpers, by the way. I only take flippers and jumpers, twist for fairness. And let's get started. Flippers and jumpers, maximum of 3. Free. Maximum of free. Okay, somebody's free? Okay. Free to decide by the Cranberries. Interesting. Okay, current energy for current situation for Taurus. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What do we have for you? Oh, that's way too many. Got a lot to say. Okay, we have 1. 5 of clubs. So there is some conflict. You're experiencing a lot of conflict lately. Probably with multiple people, as you can see there, because it's several people that you're engaging in conflict with. It's not internal conflict. If it was internal conflict, that we would see that in probably the 5 of Swords. As you can see here, it's also not defensive energy. So it's if it was defensive energy, we'd be more looking at the 7 of clubs. So this is more arguments, engaging in conflict with people. We will see when we clarify. But what's your obstacle at this time? Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Could be argumentative energy, which, I mean, you know, all horned signs are used to argumentative energy. That's fine. But let's see. Taurus. Okay. obstacles, a lack of passion, inspiration, ideas, creative energy. So the absence of that with the Ace of Clubs in the reverse. With the Six of Coins, Libra energy on this one here. Uninspired about how to establish equilibrium, give and take in a situation. Could also be about how to repay somebody or how to get something back from somebody in a way that seems equitable. But this is about equity in the grander sense. You know, one person is the one always giving, one person is the one always taking, but it's about being on an even keel and equal ground. And so there's an inability to kind of, you know, drum up ideas or inspiration when it comes to how to be equitable with someone or in certain situations or in your environment. You don't really have that matchstick of the divine, that spark, that inspiration or ideas about how to remain equitable. That's your obstacle when it comes to your current situation where there seems to be a lot of conflict with others right now. In the apparent, like what's crowning you at this time, what do we have? Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Seven of Swords. Okay, so a lot of treachery. There's some treachery afoot. You know, sometimes this guy gets a bad rap. And the reason, and I did want to make sure that I said this as soon as I saw this card pop up. Seven of Swords often can get a bad rap as being the liar, the deceitful one. He's kind of walking around at night, gathering up all the swords while the soldiers are sleeping and taking them away from camp. Sometimes it can be for the betterment of others. He's saving lives by taking their weapons away from them. But at the same time, whose lives is he saving? Because in order to spare one person's life, this is the dilemma, is that in order to spare the lives of some people, he's also kind of damning the soldiers in the camp to certain death because he's taking their weapons away so they can't defend themselves either. So it is a little bit of a quandary with this guy, but it is treachery nonetheless because he's doing it behind people's backs while they're sleeping nonetheless. So he's kind of, you know, doing this at night, like a thief in the night, you know, that Bible verse, it talks about God coming like a thief in the night, you know. That is the thief in the night, literally, direct translation. But there is treachery afoot, whether at your hand or the hand of another. Somebody's kind of often could be actually in the middle of the night kind of gathering up people's weapons and taking them from them and leaving them defenseless, which is not nice. But I'm not here to accuse anybody of anything. I'm just here to read the cards, right? It could also be that you're party to this, that you're seeing this, or that you're one of the guys who's going to wake up tomorrow morning and not have your sword in its sheath when you go to get ready for battle, right? You know, in the figurative sense. We'll clarify, so that's fine. In the hidden for you, and what could be lurking below the subconscious for you at this time, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What do we have? Strength. Okay, so the need to maintain a sense of control over rage, pride, and also attention-seeking behaviors. This is Leo, the Leo card. You see how this person is taming the lion. The lion is a metaphor for the inner beast of rage, but also the pride, you know, ego. And this is mastery over that within oneself. And so is there a need within yourself to do so? Are you quick to anger? Is this something that you kind of understand within yourself? This could also be that there's something hidden from your awareness that has to do with a Leo individual. Also something that has to do with ad infinitum, because usually we have the infinity symbol. I don't know if it's on this card. I don't see it. It's not. But usually the infinity symbol is on the strength card. But yeah, you could be dealing with a Leo individual. Something could be hidden from your awareness in regards to that. This is what is below you, you know, what is lurking beneath the surface. So there could be some rage that is lurking beneath the surface. It needs to be examined, how to control that. It could also be attention-seeking behaviors, or again, pride, ego. And like I said before, it could also just be that you're dealing with a Leo individual, or there's something about a Leo individual that's kind of flying under the radar for you. In the recent past for you, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and holy shit, card vomit. Can't take that many. In the recent past for you, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Recent past. Okay, Eight of Cups in the reverse. Where you would have been walking away from a situation, oftentimes a romantic situation. It's like a reconciliation of sorts. This is usually in the upright, walking away from what would normally be considered emotionally fulfilling, walking away from it in order to search for something that would be more geared towards recognizing your self-worth, or exercising self-worth by abandoning something that normally would be considered emotionally fulfilling. In the reverse, this is returning to the scene of the crime to re-examine it, to see if it was right to walk away from it. So reconciliation energy here with the Eight of Cups. Could also just be that you're going back to evaluate it for where you can do better in the future. But oftentimes there's a reconnection with somebody of an emotional nature. Often romantic relationships that we're going back to can be seen here with the Eight of Cups in the reverse. But it's a reevaluation period or a reconciliation period when it comes to that. So in the recent past, you may have been encountering where somebody returned to you, or where you returned to somebody else, kind of that you had an entanglement with, of a romantic sense. In the near future, I always like to say this is about 2 weeks out. What do we have for you, Taurus? Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Ace of Swords in the upright with the Death in the reverse. There is a truth lurking about a lack of an ending. Something that is not ending, not transforming for you. Scorpio energy here. But it's something that is like a never-ending story of sorts. Sorry. Never-ending story of sorts. Death is about not just endings, and it isn't literal death unless we get certain cards coming down, and I'm not going to tell you if I get those, unless I'm like, you know, really, really seeing it glaringly, obviously. But, and it wouldn't be your death, you know, I can't tell you that, and I wouldn't want to, and I don't think that that's how YouTube tarot works. But this is about something that is not ending, something that is not transforming, something that is not going to experience a new beginning, something that is not going to grow into something new, something that's not going to regenerate. Because here, at least something can transform into something else. It can transmute into a different type of energy, or it can, you know, be a phoenix rising from the ashes, or it can be, something that, it goes from one form of energy to another, but that's not happening because nothing is ending. Something isn't ending here. We have this not ending, but there's a truth associated with it, almost as if to say it's like an unending merry-go-round of crazy. I often see that with like the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, or the world in reverse in particular, where we see this. Bang your head against the wall, see if it still hurts. The truth is, bang your head against the wall, it's still gonna hurt. You keep on returning to it's like something that is like never ends, the song that never ends. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not trying to make light of a serious situation, but it's kind of like, if you have something that never changes, then the truth is it's never going to fucking change, because the litmus test has already been proven. If you go back into the pool after doing the pH test, well, guess what? It's still the same. It's still the same. It's still the same. And unless you do some major work on it, unless you put something to rights, right? And that's the truth. You're learning a truth about something and how it continues to remain the same. It never changes. It never improves. Because it never ends. There's a truth in that you're going to glean in the next 2 weeks. We cannot control others. We can only take responsibility for our part in things. And so if you experience these types of things, we'll clarify anyway to figure out what it is. But if you experience these things, we cannot ask where others have done, have caused issue and take up issue with that. We have to look at ourselves and what we can do to improve our own situations. That's accountability. That's self-empowerment. So if you consistently are finding that you're in situations that are not transforming, that are not improving, and they're not moving from one chapter to the next ever, it's time to take accountability for your role that you're playing in it and how you can move forward. Because this is not forward movement. Even though it's a very foreboding name and label to the card, death, endings are forward movement, right? Because when things end, new things can begin. Yeah. Extension of the current circumstances for you, Taurus. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And it could very well be that something isn't ending because there is something that is of a truth that you have to learn about why something isn't ending. And it could actually be a good thing that it's not ending. You could be getting good news and a truth delivered to you about why something isn't ending, right? 7 of coins in the reverse with the 5 of coins in the upright. There's a lack of investment going on here with the 7 of coins. There are no seeds being planted in any ground, never mind fertile ground or barren ground, to contribute towards a legacy or a path forward in the future when it comes to your material, your energy, your time, or your efforts. And so there's this feeling of being left out in the cold, excluded, or as if something isn't working out in your favor, a feeling of misfortune or unfortunate circumstances. This is a victimhood mindset, because at any moment one can choose to bring themselves out of the cold, to exercise that self-empowerment and take action of their own accord to bring themselves out of these circumstances. However, they choose not to. They choose to see themselves left out in the cold. They choose to continue being left out in the cold by way of, because we have these 2 cards together, by way of not investing further, or not investing time, energy, effort, or material in the first place. If you have nothing positive to contribute to a situation, which is what this is really saying, you're not contributing positively to a situation with your time, energy, efforts, or money, but usually it's a work card, so we want to talk about time, energy, effort. In your career, your goals, anything, then you're kind of sitting in a victimhood mindset, and you're not exercising the self-empowerment to bring yourself out of your current circumstances, right? Oh, I could talk for days about pentacles, baby. And it doesn't necessarily have to be material. Like, it doesn't have to be career shit. It doesn't have to be, about money. It doesn't have to be about any of those things. It can absolutely be about anything in your life when it comes to this. Because this is the tangible side of things. What energy are you putting into something? What effort are you putting into something? This is an effort equals interest. So if you're sitting there going, nobody's like, okay, let's use dating as an example. Okay. If you're not putting in any effort in a relationship and nobody's in and everybody is always like peacing out, is that something where you should be like, oh, nobody wants to hang out. Oh, everybody always pieces out. Yeah, but you're not really, effort equals interest. And so if effort equals interest and you're not really putting in the effort, you're the master of your destiny here. Your circumstances and your surroundings and you feeling left out in the cold and excluded, you're the designer. This is by design, your destiny. And you designed that destiny for yourself, right? So that's kind of what this is. If you're not putting in the time, or you're not building quality connection, and then when you're left out in the cold, or you're feeling excluded, or you're feeling like, shit ain't working out for you, you didn't, so anyway, you get it, you catch my drift. All right, moving forward, how people view you, your environment, people who are surrounding you, what are they seeing? Eight of Clubs in the reverse. So there's blocked communication. People are not chatting with you. Either you're not chatting with people or they're not chatting with you. It could also be that the communication crossed wires, or that communication is thwarted, or there's no, like the path towards effective, healthy communication just isn't there. Okay. Hopes and dreams, or hopes and fears, rather. Why do I feel like we're going to pull a card that it has to do with your hopes? Hopes and fears, if you will. Sorry, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Hopes and fears. Sorry. What do we got? Hopes and fears. Decision making. Trumpeter's call. Aries, Sagittarius energy. This is about reaping what one is sown, but it's about making decisions. The time to make decisions. Decisiveness. We'll have to clarify that one for you, maybe. But, maybe I don't, because it's you know better than I do, and it's not my fucking business. But yeah, atonement. You either fear atonement, you fear reaping what one has sown, or you hope that others will reap what they have sown, or you hope or fear decisions, that somebody's going to make a decision about you, or you're waiting on a decision. This is the need to make a decision, whereas this is the decision has been made. What else about that? Tell us more about the Judgment card. What kind of decision? You're hoping somebody will choose you. This used to be called the choice. That's interesting, eh? Because this is about decisions. Somebody choosing in between an Aries and a Sagittarius, or you could be an Aries, Taurus, cusp individual. This is a Gemini card, so you could be either end of the spectrum. You could be a Taurus, Gemini, cusp individual, but this is the choice, but this is having chosen. And this in all other lives, I choose you. But this is about making the choice. You're hoping somebody's going to choose you, but you're fearing the decision. You know what? If there used to be a time with this kind of stuff where you just kind of, like, not you in particular, but because I don't, but you know, there used to be a time in the dating world, once upon a time, that if you were an option, go fucking choose somebody else. I ain't no option, baby. You know what I mean? And that's actually a thing that used to be a thing. I don't know if it still is a thing. But you know, you're hoping that somebody is going to choose you in a romantic scenario. But the fact of the matter is, and it's a particular individual. However, I cannot underscore this enough. When the person is the right person, you don't have to hope, wish, pray, argue, you know, convince, sway. You know, you don't have to do any of that shit. It just happens. You know, you don't have to compete. You know, and so if you're in that camp right now where you feel like your hopes and your fears are that somebody's going to choose somebody over you, or you're hoping to God that somebody's going to choose you over somebody else, they're not the right person for you. Because unequivocally, when you're with the right person, there is no decision except for them choosing themselves or choosing you. That's that. And actually, you know, in the right, in the best, in fact, in the only relationships that anybody should really be engaged in, it shouldn't be one of those things where somebody has to debate whether, you shouldn't be asking anybody to choose you over themselves either. So it's just kind of one of those things where it shouldn't be a choice, and it shouldn't be a question of a choice. And if that's a conversation in your mind or in somebody else's mind, or a real actual conversation, fuck that shit. I ain't nobody's option. I'm the option, not an option. And I think that, you know, and by the way, never ask anybody to choose you over themselves. You know, people have their own self-respect and self-worth, right? So, anyway, we'll get off the soapbox now. 6 to 9 months from now, what do we see for you, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus? I got to decide what I want to clarify. Ooh. You got so many enigmatic cards here. Temperance in the reverse. A lack of patience. Losing one's temper. This is Sagittarian energy, but it is absolutely about losing one's temper, being impatient, not having done the healing work that's required with taking time out for yourself. Also a lack of moderation with something. Tell us more. Could be during Gemini season also. something. Because it is the reverse of Temperance. The reverse of Sagittarius. That's the way I read timing cards. I'm ruled by time, so I can do that. Well, I'm confident that that's what it is. But, you know. Five of Swords. Okay, self-deception. Remember how I was saying before that the Five of Wands is arguing with other people and the Five of Swords is arguing with yourself? Do you see? These guys are walking away. This guy's still fighting and nobody's fighting him. You know? So it's like self-deception. And it's not coming out of self-deception. You're deceiving yourself in the future. You're impatient and you've lost your temper about something. There's a lack of moderation. You're deceiving yourself about it. Tell me more. Taurus. Sun, Moon, rising in Venus. We'll see if it's about, it is about you because it's the Five of Swords. And that's self-deception. Unless it's a Sagittarius that you're encountering who's like that and you're deceiving yourselves about them. But, which it could be, but I don't think so. I don't know. Nine of Coins, yeah. You do have a lot of independence in the 6 to 9 months out from this date here. I love that Sassy Scorpion talks about the garden of your own making. In reference to the Nine of Coins. This is self-reliance. This is calling your own shots when it comes to your time, your energy, your money. This is independence. This is having the ability to see the path forward towards your legacy. You know? Could you be impatient about that and deceiving yourself that you lack? It's like you're saying you lack independence and that you cannot rely on yourself. You're impatiently waiting for something so that you can do that, but it's already there. Like you think you don't have that, but you already do. Bottom of the deck. Eight of Swords in the reverse. Coming out of a victimhood mindset, you see? This person can walk out of there anytime they want. They choose to sit there going, I'm trapped. But you know what? No, they're not. This is the realization that, holy shit, my feet are not tied and I can get out of here anytime I want. Oh my God. You know? And that's literally what it is. So it's exercising self-empowerment. Coming out of the mindset that one is trapped and stuck and bound and stagnant and all that stuff, you know, and that one has the ability to enact anything that they want in their lives. They don't need to, you know, wait on anybody else, answer to anybody else, argue with anybody else, any of that stuff. It's really just about them deciding, making the decision for themselves, taking ownership of their circumstances and moving forward accordingly. All right. Okay. Let's clarify. Sun, Moon, Tarot. Let's see what this argument, this conflict is about with the Five of Wands. Or I guess this deck is clubs, but it's wands, whatever. Five of Wands. What is it? What is the conflict of the Five of Wands for Taurus? Sun, Moon, rising, and Venus. What do you got? No. Tell us. What is it? I just saw the Ace of Swords. What is in the reverse? Oh. Okay, Nine of Swords. Arguments over anxiety, worry, sleepless nights. Anything else? Oh, can't take all those, but I can take these. Four of Wands in the reverse and the Ten of Wands. Unburdening oneself, dropping responsibilities. And a lack of firm foundations in the home space. The collapse of the four posts of the marriage bed. This is what the arguments are about. You're having arguments with somebody who doesn't think you're responsible, or that you're not taking up your responsibilities or not taking care of your responsibilities. But you're also having arguments and conflicts about a lack of firm foundation or stability in some regard. In addition to that, you're having arguments with people while you're up at night, or when things cause you anxiety or worry. You might actually get super moody when that happens. And hey man, don't shoot the messenger. You could be taking it out on other people. Six of Pentacles. That lack of equity, that's kind of like, putting a cramp on your, creative style, if you will. It's not really helping to inspire you. That obstacle of yours. Tell us more about that. Okay. Gossip. Could be because there's gossip. You could feel like there are people talking about you. I don't know if you ever had this, but I remember when I was a teenager, if I was not invited to a party, I would feel like everybody was like at the party gossiping about me because I didn't get invited to the party. Then everybody would come back from the party, and then the next day you would feel like everybody had such a great time, and then they're talking about you because you weren't at the party, or like da da da. And that's like somehow you feel like there's gossip, like there's some talk going on behind your back. Three women in particular, and it's actually creating an inability for your ideas to flow freely, or you're not inspired creatively, or you don't have ideas like you normally would, but it's kind of throwing you off kilter. Your equity or your equilibrium is off. You're kind of, and you could feel like they're actually gossiping about the lack of equity in relationships that you have, not necessarily even romantic relationships. It could be that they feel like you're a charity case, or like you use people, or like you're always giving a lot more than you're getting from people. Doesn't mean that's a reality. Just because we think these things are happening doesn't mean that's a reality. They're called rackets. The things that we tell ourselves, why is it doing that? But there are these things called rackets, and they're stories that we tell ourselves. And it gets us all up in our head, and it fucks with us, and it really screws up the things that we want to do in life. They're lies that we tell ourselves, essentially. And they put us in a fear-based kind of like mode, where it totally stunts our creative ability to kind of do things, or our ability to creatively think, or our ability to set goals and kind of see them through to the end. And anyway, they're rackets. They're not true. They're stories we tell ourselves, right? Wow. Yeah, Six of Pentacles or Six of Pentacles. There's a lack of equality here. And because the equity is off, the equilibrium is off. There's a lack of balance. What is the lack of balance? Come on. Tell me. What is the lack of balance? Actually, Cancer had the same thing, except theirs was Leo in reverse. They had, what was it? They had the Sun card in the reverse, and it was clarified with the Sun card in the reverse. You have the Six of Pentacles upright, clarified with the Six of Pentacles in the upright. Different decks. And not only, I'm not like randomly, I'm not selecting cards out of the deck. They're jumping or they're flipping. So, okay. And these aren't even the same decks that I used. I used the Deviant Moon Tarot to clarify the Lover's Path Tarot. This is the St. Petersburg Tarot, and I'm clarifying with the Sun Moon Tarot. So they're like 4 different decks. Interesting. Okay, come on. Now some more. What is this? What is the lack of balance about? What is the lack of balance about for Taurus? Somebody isn't saving. Somebody's spending a lot of money. Splurging. Okay. I mean, it's either that somebody is spending a lot of money instead of saving their resources, or they're spending a lot of their energy and effort. But it's not equal. It's not equitable. Okay, let's look at this Seven of Swords. What is this treachery that's top of mind or apparent in this situation for you, Taurus? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, these stuck on the board. Six of Wands in the reverse and the Star in the reverse. Coming out of healing. From a loss. Somebody's feigning healing from a loss. Or that they have hope and faith about overcoming defeat. Down here for the Strength card, what do we got? Aquarius energy up there, by the way. But the inverse of Aquarius energy, so Leo energy, which is down here. So, all right, let's take a look. Strength. Tell us about the Strength. Why do we have this here? Why do we have the need to quell one's anger, or, you know, not be so prideful? We do have a flipper. The Hierophant in the reverse. This is you. Unconventional belief systems. Also the collapse of highly structured religious organizations, traditionalist beliefs, philosophical beliefs, the inability to... oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. That's not what I want. But yeah. Also could be that you're feeling disconnected from yourself and you don't really know. You don't notice that. You're not connected with the self. And so it's creating this like angst. That Eight of Cups in the reverse. What's that about in the recent past? I wasn't really trying to clarify that stuff. Card vomit. But we do have this one. And we have this one. Justice in the reverse, Libra energy. Something that wasn't fair. You're going back to something because you didn't feel it was fair, balanced, just, truthful. Libra. Inverse Libra Aries could have been something that happened during Aries season, that you're this rekindling of something. There you go. There's your Strength card again. Something that happened during Aries season that caused some anger. Okay, it wasn't just. This anger wasn't just. It wasn't like that righteous indignation like I was talking about in the Cancer reading, where somebody is justified in their anger. This is, anger where somebody may have lost their temper. They couldn't maintain control over that inner beast of rage. But it wasn't fair for them to do so. or it was imbalanced in some way, or it was over a lie. There's a lack of equilibrium. Has to do with a Leo and a Libra, or an Aries and a Leo, or it was during just an Aries season, coming back to that emotional relationship of sorts, the return to that reconciliation, for lack of a better term. You don't necessarily know that it was a romantic relationship. It can be family, it can be friends, but oftentimes if you're going back to something like that, it's usually... Let's see what else. Tell me more before I speak on it any further. Let's see. Got this one. Oh, Three of Pentacles in the reverse. Somebody who you broke a friendship with, or there was a broken contract with. Also, a disconnectedness from the symphony of body, mind, and spirit. Like I said, a lack of equilibrium. Something's off kilter there. Well, it's like friends off. This is like friends off. Okay. There's somebody that's a very, very close friend, or like you said, let's just be friends, or you agreed to still maintain a friendship, but there was something romantic involved. Could also be that there was a contract involved or paperwork involved, and then all of a sudden it got it wasn't fair. There's something shifty about it, and it got you really pissed off. But you lost your temper quite big, and so you're going back because he said something, or they said something in the heat of the moment, but it was like, well, I was mad, I didn't really mean it. Interesting. I just said something similar in the Cancer reading about that, how you can't unring a bell. So remember that. You can't unring a bell. Once you say something, you can't take it back. Just because you take it back doesn't mean that people have the option of just forgetting what you say when you're angry. Especially as we are all adults, right? Depends. I don't know. This was pretty straightforward. This Eight of Clubs is pretty straightforward too. Oh yeah, this no ending with the Ace of Swords, truth. I feel like it's an extension of this that we just talked about. This Death card in the reverse with the Ace of Swords. But let's see, just in case. Let's see. It is Scorpio energy. But in the reverse, technically, Scorpio energy is your energy. Huh. Okay. Oh, there's that judgment, decision-making time. You actually had made a decision based on a truth. You made a decision not to end something based on a truth. Aries, Sagittarius energy. This is in the next 2 weeks. Tell me more. Based on, you know, the previous actions, the actions that somebody else took in the past have dictated your decision-making in the next 2 weeks. Could also be the actions that you've, you know, what you've sown, you are going to reap in the next 2 weeks. The decision will have been made in 2 weeks. It's got to do with the argument. The argument that you're going through right now. The argument that you're going through right now in your current, that Five of Wands, that Five of Clubs, has to do with is actually this Death in reverse with the Truth card. This is the direct result, is Judgment in the reverse. A decision being made in the next 2 weeks. Somebody just, you know, deciding, making a decision based on the argument that you're having right now. Anything else? That's something not ending, not transforming, right? Not changing into something new because something isn't being put to rest. Tell us more. There's a truth that has to do with this. Or like a truth that's important about it. What do they always say? There's 3 different truths. Their truth, your truth, and the truth. Right? Because perception is reality. So each person has their own perception, and it is therefore their reality, which means that it is therefore their truth. But if you're like an outsider and your outside perspective is, well, this person's over there with their truth, this person's over there with their truth, and then there's the truth, which is completely and utterly separate. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with what either person's screaming at each other about. 8 of Swords. Well, somebody's sitting in a little bit of a stuck, stagnant state. And they're not really exercising any self-empowerment. They're kind of just sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of tied up here. My hands are tied. I can't really do anything. Oh, I'm so stuck in between all these swords. I can't do anything with myself. Even though my legs, I have 2 feet and a heartbeat. And they're not doing anything. Yeah, so there's somebody who, isn't really exercising any self-empowerment to get themselves out of a situation. In fact, it seems they would prefer to argue. They would prefer to argue the point and remain in the jail of swords, the mental prison. And this is actually considered a mental prison. Don't look at those stupid words on the top. They don't mean anything and they're actually not that accurate. But they would rather remain in the mental prison here and argue the point than realize that they're stuck in the mental prison and that it's a mental prison of their own making, and choose to sidestep the swords and get out of Dodge. They would rather argue and beat themselves and other people over the head with the same stick than sidestep the swords and move forward. Free themselves from the mental prison. Okie dokie. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to clarify these or this because they're pretty straightforward. And I ended up clarifying that Judgment and Lovers with the second card, right? Let's look at your outcome. Shuffling backwards. Interesting. The Temperance in reverse. What is that? Who is that? Give us something on that. So it seems like impatience to me. And a lack of moderation. In fact, I think the lack of moderation is linked to the impatience. Aquarius energy, King of Swords, could be linked to somebody who works in the criminal justice system. This is oftentimes a parole officer, a police officer, a judge, a magistrate, a lawyer, a guard, corrections officer. But it's also about exercising intellect over emotionality. Somebody could be in trouble with the law because of their inability to, like, almost like, okay, so here's a really good one. I'm not laughing, actually. Somebody is impatient, they're speeding, and they get a speeding ticket, and they have to hang out with the police and get a ticket because they were impatient at the traffic light and they ran the red light, or they're speeding and they get a traffic ticket from the King of Swords. Another one could be a lack of moderation. Somebody ends up having to answer to the court of law why they are abusing substances, or Although I would see normally the Devil card in the reverse if we were dealing with substance abuse. So, yeah. I think that I'm more looking at that somebody might get a traffic ticket which is really weird. I don't normally get shit like that. Okay. All right, cool. But this Five of Swords, what's the self-deception here? Oh, whoa. Queen of Wands in the reverse with the Hermit, Virgo energy with the Aries in reverse, which is Libra. Interesting. So we have Virgo, Libra cusp season coming up. Five of Swords is self-deception about personal truth that somebody needs to seek. Somebody needs to go within and figure something out about themselves because they're deceiving themselves. They're deceiving themselves that they know that personal truth and they're volatile and irrational about something as a result of this. They believe themselves to be nurturing and warm and all these things, but this is passion to the point of poison. This is a feminine Aries energy that is volatile, irrational, scorches. It's the fire that burns rather than the fire that warms. This is an extremely angry, extremely violent energy in the reverse. It's also considered the other woman, depending on the surrounding cards. But this is the need to go within. If we're looking at this in relation to the Five of Swords, which is about self-deception, this is the need to go within, because somebody is deceiving themselves about where they are, the Queen of Wands in the reverse, where they are that other woman, where they are the angry, volatile queen who burns people with their fire as opposed to warming people with their fire, where they are irrational and volatile with their fire energy. They have to go within the cave of self-discovery with just that lantern and have a deep chat with themselves and figure out where they're deceiving themselves about this. You know? Still shuffling backwards. Anything else? The Hangman, yeah. And here's Piscean energy for you. Choose to stand back and consider and observe the perspective of others in order to, this is about experiencing really the perspective of others, choosing to sit back and experience the perspective of others in order to gain a better understanding of one's surroundings. A part of the conversation with the self actually might be, how do I occur to others? How do other people view me? And not necessarily, and here's the thing, that's the shitty thing about life. You can't, it's very few and far between that we have close enough or honest enough relationships with people in our lives that we can actually ask them that question and they would give us an honest answer. We think we have connections with people where they would do that. However, you're going to know a lot of people, you're going to encounter a lot of people in your life who either are too enamored by you to tell you what they think honestly, or they don't want to hurt your feelings, or you don't want to hear it, or you won't accept it. It's a very rare connection to have with somebody where they can tell you exactly what they see, exactly how you occur to them at any given moment, even if you're taking the piss and you're willing to accept it. That's a challenge. And when you can do that with somebody, that's a fucking forever friend. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's very difficult to have that. And I think that's a part of the conversation that you're going to be having with yourself is, how do I occur to others? But again, I don't necessarily know that you're going to be able to go to people to do that. And that's why you're putting yourself up here. This guy, he's put himself in that position so that he can observe from all angles, you know? Anything else? Anything else for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus? I used to work somewhere where you'd be able, if you were really mad at somebody, you'd be able to pull them into a room and you'd be able to talk to them about like, well, you know, you don't ever do this to me, and this is how I felt, and this is what it triggered in me, and this was this, and this was this, and this was this, and they'd be able to like have a real conversation, like a fucking grown up conversation with you about that shit, and like real deep personal development stuff. And now, like, you know, where is any of that stuff? Like I said, like the real world is not like that. You know? You could bottle that and sell it. God. Okay. Oh, 10 of Cups. It just flipped out. So when you realize all of these things, and when you stop deceiving yourself, stop bullshitting yourself, and when you also realize that you are in the garden of your own making, and that you can, and that you are independent, and that you are the master of your own legacy, nobody else, you know, and that you are independent, you are in charge of your own time, energy, effort, and material world. And then you will reach the zenith of your emotional fulfillment with someone. That's where we're at. Yeah. Bottom of the deck. What the fuck? Thanks a lot. There's that impatience. There's that lack of healing. There's that lack of moderation, you know. If you go to the doctor, honestly, you can ask them what their advice is for you on how you can eat well and what exercise regimen and what special diet you should be on, and they will say to you, all things in moderation. And that's what this is tempering the pouring of hot and cold in between two cups. What do you do to chocolate when you're cooking with chocolate? You have to temper it. What do you, like, yeah, like... You know, but patience also. Don't be impatient with the process. All right, that's what I've got for you, Taurus. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I do, and we'll see you when we see you next. Remember, this is just for the month. It's no biggie. All right, we'll see you when we see you next. Okay, bye.